Steel's actually a pretty good movie. I haven't watched that proper. I really enjoyed it. I watched it last night.
Stand by.
Uh-oh.
Brent's got to take a poop.
Oh no!
Well, we're live. Right on. Hey, everybody. How's it going? You're just missing Brent. Brent just left to take a poop. He's doing a number 2 right now.
It's live.
It is, and that's what happens. Sometimes you got to poop. See, Mike, I think it's because he drinks too much coffee. Makes him poop a lot.
Oh, look, we're number 1.
We are. See, he did it number 2. He's got both fingers up.
Start this shit without me. What the hell are you doing?
There he goes. He just dropped. You start the shit without us because you took shit.
I got to make sure we're online. Are we online?
Oh, we're online, poop man.
I'm not sure. I'm not sold that we are because I don't see it anywhere.
Oh, bummer. I got it on right beside me. I'm watching it go down as we speak.
Really?
Yep.
Because you guys
Right
talk
there,
amongst
man.
yourselves.
Talk
Amongst yourselves.
Oh, man. Mike, are you watching the Falcon Winter Soldier?
I am.
How do you dig it?
I am digging it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it for a lot of reasons, most of which I'm very unfamiliar with a lot of the alternate Captain America storylines, which I know you could fill me in 10 times over.
Good.
I'm digging it. I'm digging the vibe of it. I love the way it's being shot. It is very much MCU sort of Avengers light. But it's got elements of like Lethal Weapon going on. It's that whole buddy cop sort of partners that can't get along, but I'm really liking it. It's interesting how they're sort of, for lack of a better word, retconning certain parts of the post-snap world that Spider-Man Far From Home was sort of implying that everything was great and we're back to European trips and all that. And now you're getting a sense that no, the blip, things aren't rosy now that everybody's back. So I'm really liking that. And yeah, I really like the I like the interaction between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, who, by the way, man, there's some shots where it's like, throw that 80s blondish brown wig on his head. He can play Luke Skywalker.
Totally,
he
yeah.
Totally can.
I think that's the way I thought maybe they would go in The Mandalorian if they did bring Luke in there, as they'd have him in.
Yeah, it's but it's great. I don't know. Like, are you? I'm assuming you're loving it too.
Oh yeah, right from the get go, from that first Falcon mission, it was great. And then of course I know about U.S. Agent there. I know how much of an
John Walker. Okay.
Oh, he's gonna become. You're gonna hate him so much, dude. It's just funny because people are like, I already
hate him. Yeah, I was just gonna say, and it's what I was saying to my wife Carolyn is that it's really uncanny how much he looks like his dad.
Oh yeah.
And his dad was a planet, so I mean. Right. There you go, right?
Right.
I can see why John Walker has a lot of ego in him. Oh, the nerd dad.
I like how I'm loving the real breakdown story about how the Avengers never made any money. I love this thing. I love how I love the fact that he couldn't get a loan. I mean, I don't like it. I mean, I like the idea of the premise of it. And I heard it was triggering for a whole bunch of people over there. I heard that they were having a hard time with it, but it's definitely an accurate depiction of what's going on.
And I'm trying to figure out why everybody's coming down on Tony Stark. Like, was he obligated to pay the Avengers just because he had money? Why should Tony Stark be paying the Avengers? Well,
he gave him a place to live. He gave them food. He gave them entertainment. Yeah.
So, but
I don't think he owes anything else.
I did like the reality kick to it, and that scene where he's in the bank and he's like, "You know who I am," and it still didn't work. So, it's a very different kind of universe that they're setting up here. Even compared to WandaVision, it seems gritty. It seems more. It seems almost like this is what they want it to be, but because you've built this whole phase 1 up to be like super happy, yay, snap, everything's great. And I think that Kevin Feige and company at the top just sort of realized maybe we should, I don't think things would be as great as everybody thinks with the blip and the finger snaps. So, and I loved the tease at the end, that whole Helmet Zemo sitting in the cell. And did you catch the cell number that he was in?
No, I don't think I did.
2187. What cell number was 2187?
That's got to be Princess Leia.
Princess Leia, my wife's saying.
Princess Leia.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's right. So again, another little Easter egg Star Wars thing that
it's a Star Wars Marvel high five.
Yeah, it was kind of him like, I know that.
Nice.
So anyway, but
it's really cool what they did with that, and they had to come out swinging, so it was like Iron Eagle and Top Gun right off the get go.
Yeah,
and a blast right through it.
But it's only a 6-episode run, right?
Is that all it is? I wasn't aware.
Yeah, it's only 6, but I think that they had to probably be like, all right, guys, like we got to go here. We gotta go because everyone was almost out on Wanda. We gotta go to give them what they want, and I think that they hammered it. Good.
And Black Widow is next, right? And you can either go to the theater and see it, or spend $30 and watch it at home.
I gotta go. I will wear a mask. I will sit distanced from my family, like 3 cities over, to see it, because I really, a Marvel movie like that needs to be seen on a big screen. And I know I missed the whole talk you guys had on the Snyder Cut and Justice League.
We haven't really dove into the Snyder Cut. No, we haven't at all.
Oh, I thought you guys may have touched on it with.
No, because Brent hasn't seen it yet, so I haven't really dove into it. But I loved it.
I don't have the crave.
I really liked it.
I don't have the crave.
No, you got to text Taylor and say, "Hey, give me that number."
I've sent her 7 texts.
Yeah, right.
It's okay. She only stayed at the house She only stayed at the house. We only fed her.
No, I know. You just got to
send me a $5 crave fucking subscription.
Sure, she can. Just don't go on there the same time I'm on there, so I get kicked off.
And I mean, I didn't see Justice League when it came out the first time, because sorry, Brent, not much of a DC guy after sort of the Dark Knight trilogy, and I haven't seen Wonder Woman 84. I haven't seen Wonder Woman. I haven't seen Aquaman. I just there was no real thrill, but I did watch the Justice League Snyder Cut because, like everybody else, it was in the news, and you wanted to see, could this have been made better originally? And I think it had some real potential. I love Barry Allen, man. That dude it's a great character, and I still think Ben Affleck is weak sauce as Batman. But
I can't wrap my head around it either, dude.
I thought it was a little bit better the way he sort of rejigged a few things here and there. So I'm not a big fan of the decision to go with the 4x3 letter bar,
to keep it in his original vision or something. They said, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, okay, whatever. But hey, at least you got a 4-hour cut of Justice League the way it was supposed to be.
One thing I wanted to mention, Mike, and I don't think this will throw Brent off too much, because at the very end, they show all the future movies they're going to spin off. And they show a Jared Leto Joker. He is way too young to be the Joker.
Yeah.
He's got to be, but he's got to be Jason Todd is what my angle is, that because that can't be the Joker. He's too young.
It's I really don't know what they were going for there. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I think it was just kind of a, hey, let's throw this in as a woo, shocker type
different
thing.
Timelines, because that would have been because there's a comic book based on that. It's a different DC timeline that Barry Allen creates, and then they have to, and things get screwed up, right? Superman becomes evil.
What's this multiverse timeline?
Yeah, right.
Different?
So here's the thing about Barry Allen, which is really cool about the Flash, is that every time he changes something by his speed, he screws something up also, and it comes back to haunt him. Right.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of the cool thing about the Flash. And again, I really like that actor that played him. I thought he was great. I love the different way we were introduced to him through the pet store. It was different in the other cut. You were introduced to him totally different way. But,
okay.
Yeah, dude.
Alex doesn't want him. He wants the Flash from the TV show.
I just started watching that. It's pretty good. I'm trying to bounce around and catch them. Mike, a good one to come in on is Man of Steel. That's the Superman movie.
I've seen Man of Steel. I've seen Man of Steel. I liked it.
Yeah, I did too.
But again, part of me is like, I'm an old school kid. Superman 2, there's nobody better than Terrence Stamp when it comes to General Zod and that whole, kneel before Zod.
I love that line.
Michael Shannon, though, he was on fire.
No, Michael Shannon was good.
Coming out of Boardwalk Empire. Everyone was like, let's get him.
And I liked how in Man of Steel they gave Zod a little more depth as a character. With the whole idea
you got
that
some more backup and stuff.
He was sort of friends with with Jor-El, and like they were, but difference of opinions and philosophies. I thought that was really neat. But it was one of the best. It's better than Brandon Routh for sure as Superman.
I didn't get through that one.
I'm telling you, I don't know if you guys have seen like Superman and Lois yet, but they're killing it. It's great.
Oh, I haven't. Did you watch Krypton, the TV show Krypton?
No.
Because that was pretty cool. Because that was about Superman's dad, who you just named, and I'm blanking on his name.
Okay.
Jor-El, yes, Kneel Before Zod. And so it's about him when he was younger. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with the comic book character Lobo. There's a live action Lobo in there through a couple episodes, and some other lesser known characters from the DC universe that you wouldn't expect to be in there. And some of the stuff's really, really cool. Like there's some good stuff in there, that's for sure.
See, there's a lot of DC characters that are probably prominent characters that I would feel are like,
there's a lot to look
minor
at.
Characters, but
there's a lot going on.
In between stuff, the Marvel stuff, I got to dive in there and get some DC. I'm not the biggest DC fan either, but
big news of the day: ObiWan Kenobi cast announcements.
Yeah, stoked.
That is a name that I haven't heard in
That's awesome. Time. You know what? The biggest difference between this one and The Mandalorian for me is The Mandalorian. I was looking forward to all these side characters that were going to pop in, right? And for Obi-Wan, I'm just, because he's my favorite Jedi, and he's like, I'm just looking for the Obi-Wan story. So a lot of these actors and actresses that are brought in, for one, I don't know who they are. And for two, I don't know who they would be playing, who would be major characters. So it's a totally different spin on this one for me than The Mandalorian, which makes it exciting. You know what I mean? Like I'm not looking for, all these extra characters from different stories. I'm looking at Obi-Wan, and what are you going to do with my beloved Obi-Wan? And I can't wait.
Well, I thought it was cool that they brought back the original actors from the original trilogy, like from the prequel trilogy. So Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen are the same actors. Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor are the same. But some of the casting choices interesting. Because I don't know if you saw the Instagram of Moses Ingram. She mentions playing with lightsabers. Now, my knowledge was that the Jedi were wiped out with the exception of Obi-Wan and Yoda. So is it possible that she is part of Darth Vader's Inquisitors?
Wow, that would be cool.
Which would be a very cool angle to sort of focus around this, that, they're out hunting Obi-Wan and looking for, I guess they don't really know that there are the twins that are in the galaxy. It looks great. I'm just super jazzed to see Ewan McGregor play Obi-Wan again. I loved him as Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen, it'll be interesting to see because he got a real bum rap for his acting.
Sadly, yeah.
In the prequel trilogies.
Yeah. My shitty acting is ruining the saga.
That's funny. I thought it was more the lines. I thought it was more some of the lines he was saying than his delivery.
The writing was
right.
Was
I don't know how you could blame him.
But I will say,
best lightsaber duel ever is at the end of.
And this Revenge of the Sith. That's
it, buddy. Yeah,
Revenge of the Sith. I was thinking of Revenge of the Jedi, which was the original name for Return.
Yeah. Oh man, got a poster, a shirt of that. Grab it.
But I was not a big fan originally of the prequel trilogies. But my boy Owen got really, like, he loves Revenge of the Sith, and I've gone back and you know what? That last fight scene, for as cheesy as the dialogue is really, really good, and it's solid. But again, it's the dialogue and Hayden Christensen, and I hope that. Because we're not really sure if we're going to see him, outside of the mask at all, which seems kind of ridiculous that you're going to bring Hayden Christensen back to give him a James Earl Jones voice.
Nah, I think you got to have him be walking like scarred up and like,
there's a lot of things in the comic
That's his
books.
Friday night wear.
Yeah, silent disco wear. There's a storyline in the newer comics, and he does Obi-Wan does a flashback with Anakin, and they kind of redo the last battle again, and it's kind of a what if this would have happened, because Obi-Wan's struggling with whether he did the right thing or not. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So he does this flashback on that battle, and the battle is redone in a couple different ways. So they may do that. Maybe they'll do like a flashback where that's how they do it. I'm not sure.
The only thing with flashbacks though is, again, you got, I mean, Hayden Christensen, if you go by the 8x10 that they've got as his cast picture on the big press release, he still looks pretty young. Like he hasn't aged much, but
farm life, right?
I think it's going to be hard to go back and do any adventures of Obi-Wan and Anakin when he looks like he's, he could be Anakin's dad, basically.
We're not getting
digital.
anything.
They can digitally enhance.
We're not getting anything new, right? Mandalorian until next year, obviously.
No, and this won't come out till 2022 either.
Right. So then I'm seeing this today.
Oh, the Bad Batch.
Oh, I didn't watch that yet.
Yes. That's going to come on May the 4th. So it's sort of like on Star Wars Day, they're going to have that. And I'm sure there's going to be more announcements. But what do we think, how that's flowing? Because our sometimes, host here or guest, JJ, that comes on, doesn't want to see too many more of these origin stories. Like, he's over it.
I agree that it gets to a point where, just give me something new. And I think the Bad Batch is going to be interesting because
what is the Bad Batch, by the way?
The Clone Force 99. They were super clone troopers.
Or the rejects.
Who
the black ones that get sent down.
They were defected. They all had personal defects of different kinds that made it so that they couldn't go out with all the clone troopers. And when you saw them, you could see they were a little bit different, like deformities from their cloning.
Is that going to be an animated series or live action?
Oh yeah.
Bad Batch is an animated. Yeah,
they're actually in an episode of Clone Wars, right, of the cartoon.
Yeah. And it's interesting because in the trailer, which you haven't seen yet, Chris, but it's actually very cool.
Oh, go ahead. I'll see. You don't have to. Don't spoil it.
So Fennec Shand appears. So there's a bit of a Mandalorian crossover.
Nice.
And apparently, Saw Gerrera from Rogue One, Forrest Whitaker's character, will make an appearance in this cartoon too. So it's interesting to see that Rogue One and Mandalorian really have. They seem to be showing that they were some pretty successful Disney properties in the Star Wars realm, because they're sort of being tapped into again for this new Bad Batch as well. I haven't seen Clone Wars, and Bad Batch looks cool. Whether or not I don't know if the animated stuff is really going to tap my interest as much as the live action stuff. Which, by the way, some of the shows that are coming up, it's insane that they're doing all this. So, but Obi-Wan definitely looks, I mean, just on paper, it looks really good. They are playing the whole plots, everything very, very close to their chest. And I guess they're starting to film April 4th or something like that. So they're just starting off. And I'm sure, like most Disney properties, this thing will be locked down immensely. Who was it? Because Benedict Cumberbatch was doing press, sort of to dive off of this and just back into the whole Disney thing, was doing press for some movie. I don't know what it was, but he was on a Zoom call and his camera was aimed at the ceiling because Disney does not want people to see what he looks like while filming Doctor Strange 2. Right. Because apparently there's some whole new look that Doctor Strange is getting in this film. So
you got to listen to our interview, our show from last week, Mike, because our guest gave us kind of this breakdown of the secrecy around DC and Marvel and kind of how it all went. It was amazing.
Wow. Star Wars one though, right? Like, holy cow, that was because he knew about a lot of things that were going to happen. Like, he knew about the death of Han Solo before, like, well before it was going to happen.
Wow. Yeah.
So he was
NDAs, man. Like they do tons of stuff. And I get that, like, in my sort of small part of the entertainment world, I'm constantly faced with that. Like, most gigs now, I get auditions where I have to sign pieces of paper that say you can't even talk about what you're reading in this audition because, and even then, a lot of the cases, I don't know what it actually is, but you can kind of figure it out by what the copy is. But yeah, it's very, it's so easy now to spoil stuff and to, get things out on the internet. And I don't want to be like, I really, really don't want to be spoiled on a lot of this stuff now. Yeah. I don't mind so much after the fact, like with Falcon and the Snowman. Wow. There's an 80s movie reference.
Why haven't they redone that one?
Yeah, Sean Penn as an old Falcon.
That's right. It's leading into our BJ and the Bear talk.
Yeah.
There we go.
Crossover.
I do love going in afterwards and sort of reading up on stuff. Like, again, I had no clue who John Walker, really what was behind that. But I like going in afterwards and reading articles about the show and sort of, oh, okay, so this is what this is and this is what this is. So that I don't mind after the fact, but I don't want to know plot details. I don't want to know, like, I like that idea of watching a show, not knowing what to expect, and then legitimately going, oh, like WandaVision with Evan Peters. That was a real, like, oh, even though they totally bonered that whole thing up in the end. But, wah, wah.
But we got some people out, and then we brought them all back in, so it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
awesome.
And man, Disney's really they've figured it out, and even just their whole timelines with when they're releasing stuff as we go along, even amidst COVID and the pandemic, they've really done a good job of keeping the pacing so that, like you were saying, Brent, WandaVision, we peaked. Let's not completely bung this up and have some dead time. But
a crossover for me because Darryl here from Indie Week. Darryl Hurs, how you doing, buddy?
Welcome back. What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Hey guys.
You're on some hardcore nerd talk before we get into music talk. And I had asked you if you're Marvel and a Star Wars fan. We're talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We were talking Wanda. We're talking to the ObiWan Kenobi announcement yesterday with the cast. So why don't you? I don't know if you heard any of this stuff that we were talking about, but let's hammer us with your, like, are you Marvel fan, a Star Wars fan? Which one is
Marvel or DC? Marvel or DC? Which do you prefer?
Star Wars.
That's the big one.
Marvel, hands down, 100%. I do like the Dark Knight series out of DC, but almost everything else, not really a fan. But Marvel, 100%. And what they do is really amazing how they thread storylines together and years of development. Like, it's really crazy how they built this empire. And I use it as I actually use it as an example in talking music all the time. Cause I kind of use this phrase that you want to get to the end game and look at how they were able to launch a movie and it made $1 billion in 3 days or something like that. It was crazy.
Right on.
It's the long game, right? It's as opposed to the quick fix where it seems like DC was just trying to, go for the big, quick.
Don't get me
throw
started,
it against
man.
Hope it happens
on the DC thing. I'm dying for them to get this right. It's driving me crazy.
Snyder was good.
Had they stuck with Snyder, or had Snyder been able to stick with it, maybe things would have been different.
Split
but
that
I
one
think
into 2 movies. That would have been pretty good.
We touched on it though with JJ a few episodes back.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to villains, and Marvel just seems to have better villains that you want the heroes to defeat. And
it's all about the villains, man.
But also Marvel makes it fun. Like
Guardians of the Galaxy. That's such a good ride, huh? The music in that one, wow.
Oh, and Ragnarok starts,
and they're already doing it with. Well, actually, sorry. James Gunn at least it seems to be pulling in the same
vibe
approach with Suicide Squad. Like when he's got the soundtrack, and it's a little bit more of a fun thing. Hoping that they give him a little bit of a rope there. But Ken Lashley, who was on with us last week, who draws for Marvel and DC, and he was very like Star Wars. He was very much like. Wow. Marvel brought him to the studios. He was thinking he was going there for a tour. They were doing it as a job interview.
Oh,
and
wow.
he turned it down. So that's another hour.
Well, they wanted to relocate.
No.
They're like,
They
they
wanted
said,
him to
we have a
relocate.
job for you, but you got to relocate. And he looked at his wife, and his wife looked at him, and he's like, when do I got to answer this? 'Cause he was there and having fun, right? Woo, Disneyland.
So
where is this job going to take place? In a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Sorry, my wife's not into it. Got to pass.
He was talking about the difference between Marvel and DC, and and it's funny, Darryl. I'm sure we'll get into this on the music side of it, but how Marvel is like on a Friday going, we need something for Monday, and it's fun, dude. And everyone's like, woo, yeah, dude, we got this, we need this, and DC was like, listen to me. This is the way it's going to be.
Here's our calendar. Here's what we got sketched out for the month. All right. And at the end of the month, we're going to start there. Yeah. Marvel's just like, what's going on this weekend, dude? Because we could really use this cover. No, you got it. So
I think that
sounds more fun too. For sure.
Yeah, it sounds more fun, right? And it's I'm sure there's record labels like that are like, you can't sign these bands. And then there's the guys who signed with Andrew WK, right? So like, you just take a flyer and then let's see what happens. So you never know.
And then have you guys said you guys were talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing start to that series. I'm like, again, right off the bat, they brought in the comedic aspect and it's entertaining and action. Like I find these little series is like a movie production per series or per episode. And it's amazing. Like I'd be curious to know what the budget is and how long it took to make each episode. Cause I think they're doing a great job at now they're threading the story to be the next story. And I think they're going to be introducing a lot of the new characters through these, these series in between the movies while we're waiting for the movies to get done.
Definitely.
Dropping a lot more of the S-bomb in this Falcon and Winter Soldier, I noticed. There's a little more swearing going on, which I was
that S-bomb.
Yeah, that S-bomb. A little more swearing in this one, and I don't know if they're just trying to sort of aim for an older audience.
Taking the word back, making it so it's okay, right?
I guess, but I think it works. It works in the context of the show and what they're trying to get.
Well, I think they're going to set up these TV shows, and the whole phase is going to set up the next phase of mutants because they're going to bring in the XMen and Fantastic Four and all that, right? So they got to set it up proper, and they got all these characters they're already committed to. So I think we're seeing a lot of little Easter eggs that are adding up to mutants. I think when they head to Madripoor here in Falcon Winter Soldier, apparently because that's where Wolverine hides out, right? In the comic books.
Okay.
And so we may run in him. There's a lot of seedy characters in Madripoor that are mutants. So it seems
you hear what we're talking about here, Chris? You hear what you're talking about? You're talking about stuff that clearly someone has been sitting around planning. Yeah. Whereas the rest of us are trying to, the DC fans are deciding whether they're going to put Tom Cruise in as Batman.
Oh,
next.
no, yeah.
So we're going to figure.
Okay, can I say one thing? One thing I do not need is another Batman origin story. Please, I do not need to know.
However, they are talking about this new Batman focusing more on him being the best detective versus like it's really going to focus on his ability of being the best detective in the world. And I think I'm down with that.
Yeah, but we don't need to start at the start. We can just skip to he's Batman. We get it. Show a 1-2 minute sort of montage at the start, and let's get on with it.
Yeah,
that one looks great. I think they're going to get it right there.
Let's hope so.
With what's his face? With Edward from Twilight? What's his name?
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
But then they've got Colin Farrell in there, I think, as the Penguin. They've got some interesting people in there. Oh, they got Lenny Kravitz's kid in there as a Catwoman.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Something to look forward to. We'll see what happens with the old Batman, if they can keep him afloat or if he flies into the lake.
If I can go back to Marvel for a second,
I am a huge
Marvel fan. Yeah. It's kind of like, they built Tony Stark, and like, could you imagine anyone else but Robert Downey Jr. being Tony Stark and Iron Man? Right. And the same with Captain America. And like, they actually built it where it's like, they kind of need new heroes now because nobody wants to see those characters played by anyone else because they did such a good job.
It's time for Deadpool to emerge and take his throne. And you know what I mean? The humor of it and everything, and just embrace Deadpool, man. He scatters across the Marvel universe and the comics. So it's great to see what damage he's going to do in his new movie with the right people behind it. You know what I mean? Helping helping Ryan Reynolds, because he's awesome himself. He is Deadpool, right? So he gets the right people behind him, man, and we're gonna have an awesome ride with that movie. I'm very excited.
And that's a prime example. Who else could be Deadpool now? No one. Ryan killed it.
You totally brought that on to me with what you were saying, my friend. Yeah, and then that's what came to my mind was like just like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, right? Like,
yeah. And he also canned the last guy that didn't want to stick to his vision.
Well, good for him.
So it's like, you're out, man. We're sticking it this way.
And another trivia thing, and I'm sure everybody knows it, but Ryan Reynolds, what other superhero was he before?
Green Lantern, man.
DC, and it sucked.
Bad.
Coincidentally, our guest last week, Ken, one of his great buddies was the animator on that. Or he did the post. Remember the post, not animation, the post effects on it.
Oh, so much, man. I can't.
They had filmed it already. They had filmed it already, and then we're like, "Can you help us?" And so we had to go in post and try to rescue it. And so that's where Ken was saying, let's focus on the fact that they hired my buddy to rescue it. No matter, like, if the film is bad, that's one thing. Like, if the film is terrible, but they hired my buddy to try to rescue it. So it might have been really bad, but it was really, 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 really bad. My buddy just made it,
but it could have sucked even worse.
That's right. My buddy made it really bad.
It looked good while sucking.
It used to suck and blow. Now it just sucks.
I think we've sucked and blowed the entire comic and Star Wars universe already. So I will say bid you adieu as you move on to Indie
We can't do that yet. Hold on, Mike.
Oh, come on.
Mike Pongracz is back.
Sorry.
Oh, you got to pimp yourself for a minute.
Mike Pongracz is back for this week. And then we're going to dive in some WrestleMania preview stuff next week as your buddy's going for the whole thing. And we're going to talk about that. All right, Mike, where can people find you now, including the Peacock Network?
No, this is, and Adam and I, we were actually texting back and forth tonight, aside from hockey and the Leafs and such. But I have a subscription to Peacock, which somehow I have, because it's anyway. I went and I looked on the network. The Edge and Christian show did not make the transition to Peacock.
Oh, wonder why.
It's possible it may come in August, because I know that a lot of the content isn't going to be added to Peacock, because they're going through 17,000 hours of footage to make sure that it's up to Peacock or NBC Universal standards, which they've already started to hack and slash some things. WrestleMania 6, Roddy Piper and Bad News Brown was cut out for racially insensitive undertones.
I remember all that.
Which,
I was there, by the way.
Yeah, and so I'm going through this, and I'm noticing it's not there. So I texted Adam like, dude, fucking Jay. He had to go to AEW because now it's not on the network. And he was actually surprised that it wasn't, but as he
Mike was about to get some big checks.
No, absolutely not. But it would have been nice to get some extra street cred to be able to say, yeah, you can check it out on Peacock. But it's possible it may go back in August. But if not, you know what? It was a good run, and I've got copies of it. And who knows? Maybe if Jay ever goes back to the WWE. Probably never. It'll make a resurgence at some point. But he's got a new documentary he's filming right now, apparently, because there's not enough Copeland material on the network. And he's got the Mick Foley Edge from WrestleMania 25, I think it was, the No Holds Barred match. They did a whole documentary on that match that's coming out very soon, and Adam saw the rough cut of it today, and he said it looks amazing. And they kept a lot of the blood and gore in it, which I'm not surprised, because you know what's on NBC Peacock? What movie? Hostel.
Oh, geez.
If Hostel can be on there, you got to tell me that they can't put a little bit of wrestling
color from the wrestling on there, right? That's what they call it. They get blood, some color.
So tell us where you are, Mike, because Daryl's probably like, I know this voice. Where do I know this voice from?
I gotta say, I gotta see what's his name, Elamine. He does a podcast on CBC. He actually tweeted out last week that he missed being at the movies, and he put the 4 boxes of Tommy Texter, Sally Soundtrack, Susie Seatkicker, and Harvey Hogger. So, and I thought that was pretty cool because somebody's like, "Hey, Mike, somebody is missing these guys." So I went and I did a quick sort of video tweet to Elamine, and I'm like, "Hey, dude," because his text was like, I feel like shit. I want to go back to seeing these guys. So I'm like, I don't want you to feel like poop. So I actually did a live action version in here of the Susie Seatkicker
Tommy Texter, yeah.
And it again, it was cool to see things sort of blow up and
it
so
only did 80,000 views or something. Right?
Yeah, I wish. I think I gained like 7 new followers on Twitter, but whatever. No, it's same old. Just turn on TV. You'll probably hear me at some point. So
nice. It's always good to hear you, Mike.
Hey, it's always nice to be heard, and it's nice to be heard here. So I'm looking forward to our WrestleMania pre-show next week, and I'll see if I can dig any information out. But you guys don't want to know any of the ins and outs of that stuff.
Yeah,
be surprised.
I'm good to hang and just be a nerd about it. So
I'll have some awesome wrestling questions for you as well.
Oh, I would expect nothing less.
Right on.
I would expect nothing less.
Right on.
Guys, enjoy the rest of the evening. I will talk to y'all next week, and peace out.
Thanks, man. That's Mike Pongracz, everybody. Our sometimes co-host comes in. You've heard him in your ears for years, and now he's on this show every now and again, and we talk about a lot of things. And this is Darryl Hurs, buddy. Hey, Indie Week. How are you, guys? Man?
Good. Busy as always, and looking forward to summer months on its way here, and hopefully spending some time outside because this lockdown stuff is, it's time to get outside and see some good weather.
Yeah.
Darryl comes to us from Indie Week in Toronto, in abroad and online. And Darryl, you were on my Brenton On Tour podcast on the Quarantine Cast a few months back when you guys were online promoting the initial festival, and now you've got Indie 101 Fest coming up, correct, in April?
Yeah, Indie 101, it's an online music conference. Just to give a quick snapshot is normally we do Indie Week in November, which is music festival with 240 bands and 24 venues all across Toronto, and a conference during the day, and of course no venues right now and no live shows. So we're doing conferences online. We did Screen by Screen, which is music and tech, in February, and now we're doing Indie 101 in April. Really excited about it. It's talking about all the things an artist can do, from songwriting, creation to production, promotion, publishing, distribution, making money, all that good stuff.
We have a friend of ours that runs the Kingston Film Festival, and they had to go online this year. So struggles, obviously. We didn't really catch up after Indie Week.
No, I did some work for him. Oh, no, sorry. I thought you were talking about the film festival again. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we didn't catch up after the initial Indie Week because a lot of it was online, obviously.
Oh, the film festival one.
No, the Indie Week. I'm saying Darryl's Indie Week.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Both of them are online. Yeah. So we didn't revisit that side of it. And Chris had done some work for the Kingston Film Festival and had to do a whole online thing. So how was the online indie pivot this year?
It turned out amazing. We canceled last year originally. When COVID started, I just was like, screw it. I'd rather have a year off, as opposed to change a date, to cancel a date, to then that's like doing the work 3 times. And,
sure,
I kind of like doing it once. So I just canceled. And then we decided to go online because we saw that it could. And we put it together in about 3 months, and the feedback was huge. We had people tune in from all over the world. I can't remember the number of countries that attended, but it was crazy. And so based on that feedback in December, I actually sort of thought, if we wait a whole year to do this again, we're going to lose momentum. So we're basically doing, now we're crazy, we're doing a conference every quarter. So in December, I was like, okay, let's do more. And so we have already, like I said, we've already run a full conference in February, which was just an idea in December. And that was great. And then so Indie 101 is in April. And we've actually had the best initial response for Indie 101 than we have for the previous two. Like we sold out our super early bird tickets, which was like a great surprise. When you can sell tickets and you're doing stuff online, that's cool.
Nice.
But the funny part is because it was just like, okay, let's do this. We just announced dates. That's it. No schedule, no speakers announced, and we sold out of our super early bird. And that says a lot about people's confidence in what we're doing. And we've announced some speakers, and we're announcing as we go, kind of doing it the Marvel way.
Nice, buddy. Yeah, nice.
Right? Announce the date, like, it's coming later. Who's the director? Don't know. We'll tell you later. So we're kind of building it like that so we've actually, like I said, I use that as our marketing tool.
That's awesome.
Announce the date and build it. And it's working for us. It's absolutely working for us. And we're having fun with it too.
Good for you, man. That's good to hear. I love hearing the positive side of because Brent and I were both Brent more so from the music industry. I branched off to a little more artistic since the past few years, drawing comic book stuff. But surrounded by music, and it's good to hear a successful music story over the COVID time, because we had some people on there like, man, this sucks. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Right? Like, we've had a few musicians on there. We ask them what they're gonna do, and they're like, I don't know. But,
well, that's one of the biggest motivators for us to do this. July, so we're almost on, like, we're going to be hitting a year of, like, we also do a weekly session every Tuesday live on Zoom, and it's free. And we have different people come in to talk about different topics related to the music industry, but also mental health and wellness. And we've actually built this community of people that show up to everything we do now online. And they're just a great group of people, but they're connecting offline. Like, people are remixing and collaborating and songwriting and things like that. So
it's funny how it's going right now, because people are almost, I think, expecting everything to be online now. So unfortunately, because of the concert business being down and the live business being down, that now people are going, okay. And at first, all these bands were doing online concerts, and some people were comfortable with that, and other people were like, eh. And when it was done right, it's really, really good. When it's not, it was like, just okay. And I know a lot of bands were reluctant to that. So now that this is happening, it actually gives everybody a chance to jump into the mix, and kind of everyone can be involved. And same with the film festival. Like, everyone can be involved. If you didn't think you wanted to ever go to a film festival, but now you can go online and just be a part of it. Whereas, like, you never would have thought about doing that before. So there is a bit of positiveness, and I think you're going to pull a lot of those online people with you throughout, to the point where you might even have to change up the way the whole thing's going, because people are expecting so much online right now. It's great.
It is. And that part of that real positive feedback that we received from Indie Week was about 3 different categories. One, people saying, I've never been able to go to Indie Week because of work. And people were posting photos on their socials, like, where they had like 2 computers set up. They were still working, but they were listening on the other computer to our sessions at Indie Week. So they're still working. And then second, people were like, I could never afford to travel to Toronto for Indie Week. So people in Winnipeg and Calgary and Vancouver were tuning in, and they couldn't attend Indie Week before. And then the third one, and this is really important, people with accessibility issues that weren't able to actually physically attend for whatever reason, were now able to participate fully and comment and communicate. So that was huge for us. That was a real big statement.
I don't think that's been shone on enough either, because I feel bad that I wasn't even aware of that. I wasn't even thinking of the people that can't get out regardless of being shut down. You know what I mean? Because I'm aware when I go to concerts how uncomfortable it is for some people, and you feel bad for them, right? You know what I mean? But wow, that's a really good point, man. I like that. I never even thought of that.
Yeah. And Chris teaches guitar lessons for a living, full time. Like, Chris is jammed up doing it online. Plus, you've got, you see it. So
well, that's cool, because as I do teach some kids who have a hard time getting in and out, so I teach them online guitar and stuff. But it's funny, I never thought of that, Darryl. That's great. It's a great point.
Yeah, that was a huge one. And the fact that they're able to chat and communicate, and they're getting their answers, from the industry professionals. So
they're a part of it now, right? That's great.
That was huge. Yeah, that was one of the feel-good moments after when we got that kind of feedback from it. So we're looking to keep spreading that message even further, because I think that there's actually so much opportunity through this to do a lot of good in the community. And that's been a big part of our message as well. I know there's a lot of negativity. I've seen some online fighting, like this is a hoax, this isn't, all that kind of stuff. But we're just trying to be a positive message for the music community while we get through this.
Awesome. I can get behind that.
We instead of taking questions from the audience, for instance, we're actually we have a kid that's been with us for a long time. A guy named James that actually, Chris and I, of course, played in a band together for years. And then I moved out here and, got into management, did all this other stuff kind of out of it. And Chris continued on. And James actually joined our old band and has been trucking along, doing all the right things, I think, that he's been trying to do, making their own videos, doing everything. But we were like, you know what? Why don't we bring him in for a minute and we can do a live question for a minute, because I'm sure he's got a few of them, and I think he's going to have more questions from the artist perspective, who's actually doing it right now, trying to break and trying to do everything. So I'm going to bring in a kid named James Shaw. Not really a kid anymore. He was a kid when I left.
I still think of him as a kid as well, James, because see, if I don't think of James as a kid, then I feel old. You can't have that. Can't have that.
Yeah,
right?
It's a challenge that never ends. And I mean, all the stuff going aside, with the COVID and the lack of the concert industry and all the rest of it, the journey is the same. You still have to try to break through. You still have to try to there he is. You still try to break through, and you still have to try to get people to pay attention to your product and all the rest of it. So James has been doing it.
There he is, Darryl. Does he look like a kid? Because we're calling you a kid, James.
There's a kid.
There's a kid.
Hey,
I guess
James,
not many
welcome.
kids have beards.
Absolutely.
How are you, buddy?
Can you hear us, James?
This is the tech problem of that.
He's got the mute button on.
No, he's not muted. You can hear us, James? Yes?
Oh, you can?
Oh.
No, we can't hear him.
Us, but we can't hear him, so you don't have your microphone.
Hear you.
On, buddy. He hasn't assigned it. This is the new Zoom thing. The pivot and the unmute and the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Last year's catchphrase was "You're on mute."
That's right. Still is.
This year's catchphrase: "You're still on mute."
Are you there, James?
Nope. We don't got him. We don't got him. So, anyways,
he could type it in the chat. But
type your questions in the chat.
Can I
Darryl,
see the chat?
Is there any online performances that are all conference based? What's going on with Indie 101?
For the most part, we're all conference right now. There's a lot of stuff going on with online performances, and there's a lot of gray, and a lot of people don't really think about this, and they're just doing them. But when it comes to rights and royalties, it's being figured out, and it's not really clear. And there's about 8 different scenarios that you have to worry about as a presenter. And so if you have a live performance and it's being beamed out, that's considered a performance. And it's just like you have an artist performing on stage, therefore there's SOCAN royalties to be collected. Then the other factor is, if you are recording it, well, then now that's a recording royalty. And then if you are storing it, that's a different type of royalty. And then if you post it somewhere, that's a distribution royalty. And then it turns into who's the audience. And then if it gets international, then now you're dealing with the international PROs. And the real factor is, and I know this because for Indie Week and Screen by Screen, we had lawyers do a session, an information session, talking about this exact stuff. And the other part is, for a song to be performed through this live streaming online, that kind of stuff, you need written consent from every songwriter for every song.
Wow.
To be protected.
Right.
So we just don't have that, Marvel legal team to take care of this for us. So we're kind of treading carefully with just conference stuff right now. We do have some private showcasing that we haven't even announced or anything, but there's some private showcasing of select artists where it's not a public showcase, so we don't have to worry about those types of royalties. And we're really trying to do is connect certain artists to industry that could turn into booked performances online or in person in the next 12 months. So, and we're inviting about 50 or 60 international reps to participate in that. So it's all pre-recorded material, but we're connecting the artist representatives with the international reps after viewing the videos. So
James, how you doing there?
Very cool.
Good.
Oh, there we go. We can hear you.
There we go. Yay.
He has a voice.
James, meet Darryl from Indie Week.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, James.
James is an old friend of ours, a musician that's struggling. No, musician, yes. Trying to break through. And we thought no better time than right now. Indie Week's on the way. Indie 101 Week is on the way, April 20th and 24th. And Darryl is here to talk about it. But I thought, James, you probably have a couple of questions about trying to break through and getting some advice from Darryl. So anything that you want to bring, my friend, go ahead.
How many hours does it take to get comfortable at playing to a camera? I could ask Chris this question too, actually.
I don't perform in front of the camera. I just talk. And man, you know me, James. I can just talk and talk and talk. That's, yeah.
Hours, I don't know performing, but the one thing I would say is do it consistently. And like, for instance, I just know through our own doing Indie Weekly every Tuesday. I got to tell you, first couple times, it's like, is anyone going to be here? I don't know. What's it going to be like? I don't know. And so it's a huge question mark. And the more you do it, the more confident you get, just like performing. We just did a break over the Christmas holidays of like 2 months. And I remember our first one back is like, oh, how do we do this again? So by taking that break, we actually were kind of rusty when we came back. And so consistency is the key. Same time, same day, same length, same type of format. And it's really kind of like when I've worked with developing artists, it's kind of like, you know, how do you get good at a show? Play the same set every time, wear the same clothes, build your brand, you know, and it gets easier when you do that. Familiarity makes it easier for the personality to come out.
I hear you.
Good advice. Nice. Right on.
What are you working on right now, James? You're constantly writing music, but what's the band stuff situation for you right now?
I put out my first solo EP last summer. And
what's the name of that? Tell us a little bit about that, buddy.
It's going by my name, James Shaw, and then the album's called Go Rude Boy Go. It's very influenced by
ska,
traditional like ska, rocksteady, reggae, kind of like that late 60s period.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I've always played like punk rock and ska punk and stuff, and I just kept kind of leaning towar's what I liked most.
So this is a little more ska focused than your past bands.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I wrote all the songs on acoustic and then just kind of like did them at the tempo that I felt most comfortable, because a lot of time when you're in a band, the songs speed up. Like they speed right up, right?
Yeah. So who else played on your album? You had players on there as well, right?
Yeah. My girlfriend, Jen Fiorentino.
And how's Jen doing?
She's doing great. She's doing
awesome.
Great. I don't know if you checked out her YouTube page at all, but she has some YouTube fame. She broke the 2 million mark on one of her videos.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah. So in the winter, she killed it. She did because she's kind of got a following for her punk rock covers, and she did 5 of them over the winter, and kind of got back in the game. And
nice.
I'm very, very proud of her.
So she plays on your album?
Yeah, she does. She does lead guitar or kind of just
Eddie Van Halen solos. No,
not quite.
Not quite.
More, more just filling it out and stuff.
Totally cool.
Yeah, and then she does harmonies, and we both do percussion together.
Wow, so she was in there helping you out a lot. She's that's cool.
Well, it was lockdown.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys. Just gonna say you guys were stuck together anyway, so it was either kill each other or we make an album. Right? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Had all this time to be like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Now, James, did you make a list? Did you make a list going in, a traditional list? And Darryl, I want to ask you about this list that bands would traditionally make, at least when Chris and I were trying to break, which was like record it, the demo, make the bio. You know, it was EPKs.
Yeah, that's the EPK.
Send them to as many people as you can. So
stickers.
Shaw, when you made your music, did you have a checklist that you thought you needed to follow to try to get it out there versus a checklist that Darryl would be like, well, you got 6 of them, right? But you're still missing these ones or whatever. Is there was there a checklist? And then what do you think of his checklist, Darryl?
For me, it was just kind of do it because I have to, because it's in me and I need to do it. But my producer, actually, he helped me out a lot. Mitch Girio from Scarborough. He's by the Bluffs. He has a slow cooker little studio in his basement. And he gave me the lists with all the stuff, all the people to send it to, all the things to do. I'm not going to lie. I didn't do them all, but I tried. I tried. And it does help for sure. Absolutely. I promise that I did more stuff like pushing it on Facebook and different social medias, like, and spreading it out over time, which I wouldn't have done. I would have just been like, here it is. And then you can't even play shows. So how are you building that? Right. So yeah, I think it helped for sure.
Darryl, is there anything he's not thinking about that you've learned? No, but that you've learned. I'm just saying it just in the last year with the lockdown that you're like, wow, some of these bands are doing this. And I didn't even think about it. Even we didn't think about it. And look what it's happening. Is there something that you think James might not be thinking about right now?
I think it's common with most artists is they'll create it and then put it out and then promote it. When it's Avengers way is say it's coming out in a year or whenever and promote and reveal. And so before a song comes out, I really tell an artist, you got to think like 6 to 12 months in advance. And often it's like, hey, like so I also do the CD Baby rep for Canada. I do all the marketing for them. And I'll get like a text on Thursday. Hey, I'm in the studio. I should have it mastered tomorrow. Could it be out on Tuesday? And I'm like, who even knows it's coming? No one.
Good point.
So people tend to put it out and then they think about advertising and marketing and I mentioned I use Endgame and Avengers as the example. I actually have done a case study of it. They announced 4.5 years, the exact date it's going to come out. And it's like no director, no script, nothing. But as it gets revealed, it'd be like, here's the sketch of what this costume is going to look like. Oh, what kind of Iron Man suit is it going to be? What kind of Spider-Man suit is it going to be? And here's the poster. Like, remember, even like they didn't even release the name, and remember, like, oh, what's it called? And they would put out a trailer, and people like, I think it's called Endgame, right? So they build hype. So what you want is, so when you put a release out, people are actually aware and waiting for it, not the other way around. And you're building hype, and then often people are like, oh, I got to get on a playlist. Well, if it's like, hi, I'm an artist, here's a song, could I get on a playlist? And go, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know if there's any buzz. I've got 1,000 other tracks and 100 artists have buzz. So I'm going to pick them. So it's really marketing. And often also, but pre-COVID, artists would take I would go, what's your budget for the CD or recording that you did? You should take 60% of that and put it into advertising. Right. And people go, oh, well, I need to record. I'm like, you just need one really good song, not 10. So do 6 songs, do 4 songs, and take that money and put it into advertising and marketing. And you got to get the wheels turning so that people know about you. Otherwise, it's such a hard battle. And I got to say, organic growth, unless you're doing the machine, and I could talk a bit about that because I actually use that in building Indie Week online and all of what we're doing. Organic growth is pretty much dead, right? And people go, oh, I posted it. Cool. Your 5 friends saw it. Amazing, right? And you got to work on growth, because growth is and I use this for how we're building our business online, I've had to for the last 12 months, is who is the new people hearing about you and who's the new people attending what you're doing, not your friends, family, and fans. Fans are great, but you need more fans. So I really highly say you need to reach out to the people who have no idea who you are, and that's growth, right? And so just to give you an example, we launched Indie Week, did it, and then we're like, man, we got to do more. So in December, came up with an idea called Screen by Screen. We're going to do a music and tech conference. We had to create the brand, create the website, announce the date, concept. Nobody knows it existed at all, especially like in February. And I'm like, oh, amazing, Darryl. We're in December. We're going to go through Christmas, New Year's. We'll be in January, and then it'll be a month to promote this thing. So just to give you an idea, I literally went through my LinkedIn and I personally talked to 600 people.
Holy cow. That's dedication, man. That's putting the work in. That's for sure. Holy smokes.
Right. 600 people that did not know Screen by Screen existed. 200 of them showed up. Right. And I've done the numbers, and it works in live shows. It's about 30% of who you talk to or who say they'll show up, 30% will show up. So it's kind of like, if you want 1,000 people, you got to talk to 3,000 people. If you want 500, you got to talk to 1,500.
Wow.
And it's old school mentality. And I remember postering twice a week on Queen Street, Yonge Street, Spadina. And I remember flyering all the time. So it's the digital flyering. Just talk to people. But what you don't want to do, and I get this from people all the time, and I swear I just hit delete. I don't even give them a time of day. Hi, I'm an artist. Here's my song. Here's my video. Here's my bio. Here's the I did no time, delete, right? I don't even know who you are. It's more like, hey, saw you're working on some really cool stuff. Want to talk about it? And it's a conversation now.
It's called water coolering.
That's the key.
Yeah, it's called water coolering. Yeah, they talk about that for building Twitter followers and everything. I mean, Gary Vee is the prime example of that, where he had to launch an online wine company. And how did he do it?
Talk to people.
500 tweets a day.
Wow.
Invading people's conversations and saying, like, I love that, the Chardonnay, or I love this, whatever. And they would go on and on and on and on and on. And he would, what they call water cooler. And that was water cooling just to build a Twitter base.
Right.
I got to say, you got to double down on it for anything. And Chris, you're doing that now with, you got the comic book out.
And I have been. That's funny. Sorry.
Loads of conversations.
We started pumping it, planting the seeds, as I like to say, 6 months in advance. But again, I'm like you, Marvel, like I've been reading Marvel comics since I was like 6 years old. So I'm the kind of the go-to guy to, well, what happened in the comics? And I'm like, this happened. So it could be this, or this, you know what I mean? But that's what I did, buddy. So I started a comic company, because I'm mainly a teacher now. So I started a comic company, Machete Comics, and I started it 6 months before I did the just the actual online comic book. So, and now I'm about a month away from the physical release of the physical comic book. I can get it online right now, but I'm gonna have it in stores in another month. So I guess that's wow. So I promoted that for about eight months before I did the actual physical copy. And yeah, so that's totally, we're on the same page here, my friend. If you ever want to do a comic book, I'm your guy, man. I think we would work really well together. We create some rad stuff. But yeah, no, that works, dude. Like that is the way to do it. Marvel is so smart with that too, and they have such a bountiful of characters to choose from. And it's funny when you become a musician, like James is kind of the same way. You're like, who can I work with? You know what I mean? What do I got to work with here? And as a side is also in this day and age, how many instruments can you play? So, I can record this one by myself. I'm not good at this one. So, the Marvel method, man, you use everything at your fingertips that you can and plant those seeds. Yeah. So I refer to it as like planting the seeds, right? Or taking that ball and just throwing it out there. If you don't throw the ball, like your talent and what you have, I think I might have told James this before. If you got a song, it's a ball. If you don't throw that ball, nobody's going to catch it. You know what I mean? That was my smaller analogy I use for students too. If you wrote a song, put it online at least. You know what I mean? Like somebody's got to catch that song.
Well, like in the old days, meaning like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
the music biz kind of was like, don't say anything till it's ready. Like, don't do anything till it's perfect, right? And the thing is, now it's a secret. Great, don't tell anybody. No one knows it's happening, right? We're not in that age, and everybody has like a 30-second or less attention span about anything. And so it's frequency, right? And it's consistency. So leading up to a song, I would announce something, not like, hey, working on something cool. Hey, in the studio today. Oh man, sounded great. Like, you build that you're doing something. Photo, maybe a video, not of the instrument, but you could hear kind of the hook, right? Then maybe a live video Q&A on Facebook. And then maybe you do an acoustic live version of it, you know, and you're building the story to it. And if you're going to do a release, I really recommend you release what I call the radio edit and the long form. So what artists tend to do, just because digital, they just go, here's my song. And I'm like, cool. 4-minute intro, not cool, right? Nobody's going to hear it. So we're in the time of age. And I actually was on a Clubhouse talk a week ago where people were saying, you know what, we're going to start seeing songs that are 30 seconds long just for TikTok.
Wow.
Whole song. That's it. So we used to be in the age of radio edits. So that's like, take the intro out, cut the guitar solo, extend the chorus twice, double it up at the end, and you're done, right? So I would say for the platform, on trying to get known, mix the song for the listener to digest it the way they would want to, not the way the artist would want to. And that's like a radio edit. Then you release the long form edit. Now you've got 2 releases of the same song. Then you do an acoustic version, an instrumental version. You do a feature with somebody else, and you do a remix. So now you've got like 8 versions of the same song out there, but you spread it out over 12 months, maybe 16 months. And halfway through that, you start your second single. So now you're kind of releasing, okay, radio edit version of this one, then long form edit 2 months later, then, oh, you've got snippet of this other single coming up, then the instrumental version of the first single, and you've got this myriad of releases happening all the time.
Wow. And, what a different beast it has become, right? Like, James, so the last time you played in a band was how long ago? Like, what, a year ago? 2 years ago?
Yeah, I was at the end of 2019.
Okay, so how much has it changed just since then? Like, just everything, you know what I mean? Because I can remember making sure, you got to make sure posters are everywhere. And the guy at the venue would give you crap if you didn't have posters. I don't see any posters around town. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now it's like, well, I don't see you sharing anything on Facebook. How come I'm not tagged in it? You know, it was like So do you notice that, James, just in that small time?
Yeah, well, for me, it was definitely like a little bit of a break, though, right? Because you're constantly promoting, you're constantly getting everyone together and making sure everyone's tight. And it kind of it created a little bit of a slowdown, like a calm, where you could kind of refocus some ideas and have to be creative and figure out other ways to get the music out there.
Right. Yeah. Well, Darryl, you know what I like about what Darryl's saying though is that it's just this doesn't just apply to music, man. You got like that's like one of the secrets to succeed with something that just you're passionate about. Hey, Darryl?
Yeah, absolutely. Like this translates to anything, right? And the key phrase that I've been using all along is people add value, and that's it. So it's like, how many people can you have show up? That's how valuable you are, right? And it's a tough one because, you know, there's the talks about artists get paid and this and that, but the hard part is our business is built on a percentage structure. We're all percentages, pieces of pie, and all that kind of stuff, right? How does the manager get paid? Well, 15, 20% of what the artist gets. Well, what is the artist making, right? How does the promoter get paid? Well, a percentage of ticket sales. How does the agent? Well, percentage of ticket sales. And unfortunately, often it's the artist percentage that gets kind of last, what's left over. And so you actually have to make a ton of money to be able to make some money because it's a percentage business. And the way to do that is people. And I see so many artists, again, on the CDB front, well, how do I get on this playlist? Because that's going to, I'm like, that's not going to change anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, great, people hear you, but you know, and it goes also where people before were like, oh, if I could only open for this band, and I'm like, that's a terrible business plan, because if that worked great, all the tours, all the opening bands would all of a sudden be famous, right? And I go, who opened for Bon Jovi last time? Oh, yeah, you don't know.
Aldo Nova did.
Oh.
I remember Cinderella did back when I was a kid.
It was Aldo Nova.
but this is the thing. If opening for somebody else was such a great business plan, then everybody would be famous. And truthfully, those are buy-ons. Right? You're paying to get on that.
I had Brian from Tesla on last week, a couple weeks ago.
Oh, amazing. Really?
And
I'm a huge fan of Tesla.
Awesome. So am I. Yeah, and we had this great chat, and I one of the questions I asked him was about, how do you feel about, like, what was your actual feeling about the 90s kind of scene? Because it sort of wiped everybody out. But there was some killer records in 94. Skid Row made a killer, like from that era. Skid Row made a killer record. Tesla made killer record. Like, if you were into that scene, they all made really cool albums in 94 that got wiped out. And Brian's quote was, "What do you mean we're over? 6 months ago, we sold 700,000 records." And they were like, "It's over.
Cobain just hit the right chord and killed you all. Sorry, man.
It's over." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And we circled back to, like, I mean, they were like the bad company. There was like a rank there, and there was a rank there when it comes to, like, and it still exists now. You think of your different tiers of bands that sell tickets, soft tickets, whatever. There was a rank of like the Poisons and the whatever that were doing stadiums and arenas, but then there was all these other guys. Like Cinderella was close, but Tesla was like the bad company. So they can go out and do 1,000 people. They can do 2,000 people every night. That's a career. And I always, back to your point about being the opening band, they have been the opening band for the last 15 years for like Def Leppard and like all. They just go out because everyone's like, hey, you know what? They're going to go out and they're going to play the hits for 50 minutes, 45 minutes. And that's all anyone in the arena wants to hear because their attention span is short. But guys like me are like, well, no, I want the deep cuts. And they're like, well, then you got to go see them live to get the deep cuts. And they've been able to carve out 1,000 people, 2,000 people per night. That's a career to me. Yeah. Take stadiums, arenas, all that shit out of the equation. Being able to announce you're going out, do 50 dates, and you got 2,000 people everywhere. That's a career. And it comes back to the attention span. It comes back to the hard work. They're doing it. If Tesla is doing it, like putting out 15 pieces of content on one single, if Tesla get it, every single person has to do it. Yeah, they have to do it. And that applies to podcasts. It applies to comic books. Like, I mean, I spend a lot of time putting this out. Chris spends a lot of time putting this out. Between him and I, we do, I don't know, 25 pieces of content a week trying to get this out to hone in on our listener base. So speaking, water coolering, getting people, hey, did you hear it last week? Hey, did you check this out? I mean, you want to tell kids to get into the music industry, tell them to learn that first.
It's talking. Play an instrument. It's talking. And I've talked to, like, I do these talks for schools and stuff, young people, and they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, talk to someone. Well, what do you mean? Just talk. And they're like, how? Start with hi.
Yeah.
How are you? What are you doing? Like actually talk and stop promoting, right? If you're promoting, right? And there's a really great quote that I saw in a social media webinar a week ago. If you just talk about yourself, like me, soon you're only talking to yourself because people will just start shutting you off. And I've seen that, right? And so the thing is, it's just a conversation. And like, I did this with a band that moved from Saskatchewan to Toronto. Like, this is live and nobody knew them. And so I'm like, you got to talk to people. What do you mean? Talk to people. And like, I knew the Bovine was going to be the venue that they would play at. So I took them to the Bovine, introduced them to the owner. And this was May or April, and said to them, they're going to sell at your bar in October when they play here. And so we took that time, and they're like, how do I get to people, and how do I know? Well, one, you're playing the Bovine. So you go to the Bovine and you walk to someone and go, hey, how's it going? Cool. Well, you know, the Bovine, we're here. Just so you know, I'm going to be here in October playing. Would you want to check out my band and be really cool about it? Like, not, would you like to check out my band? Here's my stuff. Just be like, hey, we're here at the Bovine. You know where this is at because we're here. Could you be here on this date when my band is playing? And we said that to them in June, July, August, September. And later on, they would be like, hey, I already know. And later it turned into, hey, John, how are you? Yeah, cool, man. I'm so excited to see you guys. I'm going to bring a couple friends. And so now you're friends because you've seen each other over and over again. And they want to bring people. And now it's crazy. And so basically, yeah, they sold out the Bovine, their first show in Toronto, and the second and the third. And that's how you create momentum and a buzz because people are like, who are these guys? They're not even from here and they're selling out. Bands from here can't even sell out, let alone 3 times. So then you can take that as leverage because people like that kind of momentum. And so then I went to the owner of the Bovine and said, I think their next show, there should be a beer sponsor. And the beer reps, which one would probably work? And can you introduce me to them? And so now we've got an introduction to get a beer sponsor. And so that's how you can start doing that because again, sponsors are only going to care if you have people and a story. So we were able to do that and then use that leverage to get into other festivals. And then they got a booking agent within about 6-8 months and they toured North America twice off of that.
And what's the name of the band?
They were called the Rabbit Hole. Okay. An industrial band. And then stuff happened on the road and it's kind of self-destruct. Well, basically they first started, their drummer took a gig and with a band that was touring the world. And then it was hard to find the drummer and then keyboardist, singer hooked up and stuff like that. So
that's always the death of a band.
There we go. But it's the thing is it's concentrated on people. That's all I could say, who pays your bills? People. And I would sort of like be in a meeting with an artist and they're kind of scoffing at it. I'm like, oh yeah, watch this. I'm just going to pick up my phone. Dave Grohl surprise acoustic set at the Horseshoe happening in 30 minutes, free for the next 50 people to get there. Do you think anybody would show up? And they go, yeah, but that's Dave Grohl. And I'm like, well, it's your job to be Dave Grohl. It's your job to get to that level if that's what you want. If you want that, it's your job to do that.
The work.
It's the work, right?
James, are you having fun? Are you having fun with it still?
Yeah, like being an indie artist.
Of course I am. That's why I do it.
Well, and this is the thing is, you know what? With where we're at right now, you can build your own dialogue, your own story, and make it super fun. Yeah. One of the things that I did last year when we were starting Indie Weekly and stuff, I mailed stuff to some people. Like, I actually was like, hey, I've got these, extra cards and stuff. Like, does anybody want them? Yeah, cool. Send me your address and I'll mail it to you. And that kind of personal touch turns people into like super fans and stuff like that.
I love it. Remember the mail?
Yeah. Well, like do the stuff that people aren't doing. Yeah. We held mentorships. And what I would do is I would send a voice message by email to every single person that was attending our mentorships, and so instead of a typed out message, they actually heard my voice, hey, John, really cool. Thinking about our last session and I thought this could apply to you. Here's a couple links. I'll send it to you. Think about it. Ask me any questions in our next session. Takes 2 minutes, fire it off, and just think, what does that person think when they receive that in an email and not expecting it?
Yeah.
Like
that's a good
people,
point, yeah.
I got replies back like right away and going, wow, this is really cool. I'm going to check those links out right away. As an artist, you can reach out to every single fan like you've never been able to before.
I'd like to add, for me, it was kind of like I've been doing it for 10, 12 years and always doing like the local thing in Toronto and bringing out friends and then building and it was weird this year to go to the digital thing and reach out to people and find, obviously I'm doing ska music. I type in ska radio how many groups and pages and different things come up that I can reach out to and be like, hey, check this out. If you like it, like, and like you said, start the conversation.
But be careful on the check it out part. Start a conversation first.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I actually talked about this type of example to my staff, and I literally, after I gave this example, it happened on my street. I took photos and sent it to them. And it's like, have you ever been approached by somebody handing out samples and go, hey, free sample? And you're like, no, go away, right? And it's like, hey, we just opened this burger shop right here, and like, we really feel we have the best burgers. I'd like you to try one. Would you just be interested? And that's a conversation, not, hey, take this. I don't want it.
Yeah, no, I do that.
Hilarious.
I'm like, hey, check out my new stuff, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's I'm really bad for that. The old school,
Yeah.
like, just like, you know, shoving it in people's face. Here, check it out. Not trying to be friendly with it. Which I'm the opposite. If you meet me, like, you got to get around 3 sentences of how you're doing before I get to what my question to you. Right? I'm very cordial. I guess you would say, but
it's conversations. Like
that's mint, man.
That's the start, you know.
Yep.
And I've been very lucky because it's actually turned into like really snowballing, because sometimes people are like, hey, I'm not interested, but my friend will be. Can I introduce you to him? And like, now I'm talking to somebody I didn't even plan on talking to. And that's led to, like, I'm talking to some AI companies in New York. We talked to a CEO for a tech company in Japan. Also, one of the top music publishers came to Screen by Screen because of hearing it from somebody I talked to.
Nice.
They recommended that.
Nice.
You know, like, that's the other thing, is when you talk to people, they know people. And if they pass it on, now what ends up happening is exponential, unplanned growth, right? If I talk to 600 people and half of them talk to one person, all of a sudden that circle is extended beyond my circle, and I didn't even know that. And so it's really cool what you can happen, but consistency. And so just on my own socials, I tried this a long time ago. I can't remember how many years, but if you go to my Facebook, I've got 5,000 fans or friends, whatever. I hit the limit, and it was basically on, I wonder what the limit is. And I just talk to people, and I, hey, blah, 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 add a, and then I hit the limit. On LinkedIn, year before COVID, I went through an exercise. I was at about 5,000, 6,000 in May. And I said, I want to be 10,000 by October. And I literally connected to 20 people a day, every single day. And literally October 1st, it actually happened, 10,000 on that day. And I'm close to 13,000 now. And I haven't even been trying, but it's now, what I've seen as well is when you kind of hit a certain number, all of a sudden it takes off, and then they're coming to you and you're not even trying. So people add value. That's all I could say. And having a digital background, I always say, if nobody signed up to Facebook, it would be a blue bar and a logo. If nobody signed to Twitter, it'd be a blue bar and a logo. If nobody signed up to LinkedIn, it'd be a blue bar and a logo. It's only valuable because people add to it by contributing content, sharing, liking, and all that.
If nobody signed up for Facebook, MySpace would still be around.
That'd
it
be
is
funny too.
Yeah.
I'd still be waiting for the page to load. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Right on.
But all those successful platforms are only successful because people have contributed to them.
Yeah.
Right.
True that. Yeah,
and
definitely.
The owners aren't even contributing to the dialogue of it. Actually, they just said, hey, everybody, here's a playground. You could just talk and post stuff. And people did, and the owners and creators just sat back and watched it take off, and it's crazy. And I think they're making money. So I kind of look at that.
Well, I tell you, man, after listening to your advice and stuff tonight, Darryl, I can't wait to I have 2 offices upstairs that I run my comic company out of. We have the computer room and the drawing room, and I can't wait to. My wife's my business partner on that. She does all the computer stuff and I do the drawing. I can't wait to reflect some of these. Well, she's with me here because she's the producer as well. So we're both listening to you, and I can't wait to have like our business meeting tomorrow morning and go over, use and put some of your ideas to use, because again, I really connected with what you're saying, being of course, relating it to Marvel. I immediately understood what you were talking about in the first 5 seconds. Like, you know what I mean? But that's me though. And then after hearing everything you had to say though, I'm stoked about tomorrow, Darryl. I want to thank you for being on here, man. It was great.
Oh man, thank you. And I would love to connect with you on your comics and
that's
know
great,
more
dude.
about
Yeah,
it.
we'll stay in touch after this for sure.
Well, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna wrap in a minute here, but let's let James get out of here, and then we'll circle around with Darryl.
Where
James,
can we hear you, James? Tell us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, buddy. And we'll try to get you some passes for the festival too, so which is great.
Yeah, James. James, actually, before anything, just look me up, message me. I'll give you passes, and I'd love to hear your music.
Reach out to him first. Don't send him the music first.
No,
say, hey, buddy,
have
how's
a
it going?
Have the conversation first. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah. What was that
Remember
band? Tesla you liked or something?
Yeah.
Fucking right. You better
Love
find
Tesla.
that.
There you go.
Better
I
find
saw
that
them,
shit.
and I did see them open for Def Leppard, and then I think
And
I saw
Poison.
them open for Motley. Yeah, that's right, Poison and Def Leppard, and I think Motley Crue and something else. I've seen them about 5 times. They're great.
They
bands.
talk about it on the Brenton On Tour podcast.
Well, there you go.
I just sent it to you, Darryl. So there you go. James, where can we
Resonance.
find you, buddy? Let's get you out of here. But then, thanks.
Yeah. I'm on all platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. James Shaw. If you search the album "Go Rude Boy Go," I'm popping up, and you can stream me on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you like to stream music. I have 4 old school sounding lo-fi songs that I hope you'll dig, and then I have 4 more that I'm working on right now. They're like halfway done.
Finally putting that death metal record out, aren't you?
You know it.
I got a
Thanks,
weird
buddy.
Al Yankovic style album in the can. I'm gonna have to get you involved in.
Thanks, James.
Sounds
Come
good.
back
Thanks for having
anytime,
me on.
buddy. And
Thanks, James.
I
Love
really
you, brother.
Appreciate you coming on, man. And
We'll get you
good
back
luck.
on when we're gonna do a stuff reunion, the album stuff reunion, and we're gonna get you back
Very
on with a
cool.
whole slew.
It's
of
25
other
years since our record came out.
Yeah, so we're gonna get you back
talk
on
to-
for that one, buddy.
Amazing. What was I, 10 when you gave it to me? I think.
We
Oh,
went copper. We
Yeah,
went
I don't know.
copper. So we're going to talk to Ed. Hey, Darryl, we're going to talk to everyone that bought it that got us a copper record. And I think that's around 1,000
There you go.
people.
There
1,000
you
people.
go.
We're going to call 1,000 people. James,
Okay, thanks,
Thanks,
James.
man.
We'll talk to you
Thank
soon,
you guys.
buddy.
Very nice to meet you, Dale.
Thanks, James.
Have a good
awesome
one,
to
guys.
see you, man.
What a great guy. I've always liked James. James has always been a very true, we've known him since he was pretty young. He's watched our band, and he's always just had such a true, a pure music spirit. Like he when he plays, you can tell. You know, when you see somebody playing, they're kind of like going through the motions. Every time I saw James play, he just, that passion, he left his soul on the stage, and I love that. That's why we asked him to fill in on, be a guitar player in anytime we did a reunion, because he was always like, yes. And his band was doing really well at that time, so it was like it was a step
It would be
down
like
for
me
him.
joining Tesla. It would be then like, Brent, you want to play drums for Troy when he can't wake up? Yeah, I'm there. Darryl, Indy 101, give us the goods, buddy. Everything.
Yeah, Indie 101, April 20th to 24th online. You can go to indieweek.com, indie101.com. Tickets right now, I believe, are $40 for 5 days. But the beauty is that you get to actually go back and watch all the recordings for up to 6 months after the
Wow.
event. So that has also been pretty cool. We've actually sold tickets after an event for once. That was crazy because people just wanted the recordings.
I've been hearing about that though. For bands have been like,
crazy.
we sold 1,000 tickets after. It's like seeing the show that you missed, but you get a chance to actually see it. People are like,
Yeah.
did you go to Maple Leaf Gardens and check out Bon Jovi with Aldo Nova? No, we didn't.
Yeah, it's
didn't.
crazy. And
It's
then the other
online
thing
now.
too, that's really important is networking, as we've been talking. And
Mhm.
basically you can connect with any speaker participant through the platform. We've got discussion groups, we've got B2B sessions. Engaging and interacting is the key while we're online right now. And then we really try to encourage that as much as we can. But the focus of Indie 101 is taking a song from creation to the end, which means songwriting, publishing, rights, royalties, distribution, marketing, social media, and monetizing, of course. So that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully
Very cool.
that works.
We'll have you back anytime to talk comics as well.
Oh,
There's
dude,
nothing-
yeah. If you just want to come on to talk comics anytime, man, you can always.
That's right.
So you can always pimp
Oh.
your stuff at the end, right? But we regularly go off. Like sometimes it's the whole show of us talking about like the WandaVision show was a real big one because there was so much confusion and I kind of knew what was going on, kind of, you know what I mean? Like you can never fully know because they always throw you a couple hooks, but you know, I knew about Agatha and I knew a lot of other things, which was cool. So we always talk about that, dude. I have to get it out of my system, right?
We had
I love this stuff.
Ken Lashley on last week. He
designed this cover. The artist of that was on last week.
We had him on last week.
That was
How
cool
lucky
stuff,
are you guys? How lucky are you guys to talk to all these great people, man? I'm jealous.
It's fun, buddy.
It's fun. It's fun.
Like
come back anytime, man.
Comics.
But it's a work,
Daryl.
It's a work, buddy. It's a work. Like it is like to get it to break through. You know what I mean? To break through. Like to your point about networking, Chris and I are like the podcast itself is in a network, like a nerd network. There's like 30 pods that all share a Twitter feed. Sometimes you got to turn it off because it's like if something happens, it's like CNN. It's like
phone's constantly going off. Man.
It's just constantly going. So we have to turn it off.
Did you hear this? Here's some more info on this.
Right.
It's like whoa.
But they're also like, if I send them a note saying, "Hey guys, how about a retweet?" Within minutes, everyone's retweeted the episode.
Very loyal group of people, which is
amazing. We do the same, but it's a work. It's who's coming up on Wednesday. Then there's a clip of this and that. So it goes and goes. So this is a bit of a good thing for Chris and I because we're really busy with stuff that we're doing, but gets us a chance to just like guys like you on.
I like
music,
talking
comics,
about this stuff because nobody talks to me about comics. So like I if you've seen any other podcast that Darryl mentioned, I've never had any friends that like comics growing up, right? So when I think that's why I scored with when I teach kids. Because for the first 10 minutes, it's like, hey, man, did you see Falcon? Oh, man. And we're going over and we love it, right? And our Star Wars, we talk about that for 5-10 minutes. And then we rock out. And then I teach them the library of AC/DC, basically, right? You know what I mean? I always joke. I say, Back in Black sent my daughter through college because I taught it so many times. But I love it. Keeping rock and roll alive, right?
If I can plug a friend of mine.
Yes, you can.
So in Brazil, so we had brought a band from Brazil for Indie Week called Etno. And one of the videos that really caught my attention is it's all illustrated and it looks amazing. And it was the drummer that did it. And his Instagram feed is crazy. He is so talented. His name's Thiago Palma. And I just, anytime I can, like people looking for artwork, I've connected and they've hired him right away.
Nice.
But he's in Brazil, so nobody really knows about him. But man, his artwork is off the hook. Like he should be drawing for Marvel or DC.
Well, he's going to be fairly known now because Brent's going to get his deals there, and we're going to tweet that out. And we're going to make sure that people.
You send it to me, Adriel. You send it to me.
Yeah.
I sent you a Tesla. I sent you a Tesla episode. You send me your guy.
Amazing.
Straight up. And then all of us are going to promote this because they're going to all be talking about it on the water cooler.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was a great episode, man.
Great pod last night with these guys talking comics.
Oh man, anytime to talk comics, I'm in. Although I only really know the Marvel universe right now because I'm so busy with the music stuff. I'm
tasking you with learning DC then because
we don't really talk about DC too much though, dude.
That's not my fault.
No, I know it's usually Star Wars or Marvel, right? Like it's usually we haven't even hit the Snyder cut because the DC guy hasn't seen it yet.
Like I don't have the crave.
I think that's a sign of not talking to DC. Like, well, I'm sorry, I'm just like not down with DC at all. They keep. I don't know.
That's been Darryl Hurs from Indie Week, ladies and gentlemen.
But that's funny. Right. We mentioned about that though too, right? Like we've talked with we had Jeff on, the bass player from Moist, Jeff Pierce.
Oh yeah,
he's a neighbor. Guy. He's a neighbor of mine, right? So we had him on. He's like, yeah, man. Was it? Sorry. Wait, was it? Now I'm just dropping names. Was it Brent Fitz that said it was like Iron Maiden versus Judas Priest? You couldn't like them both.
It was Maiden. It was Brent had dropped the idea that you had to pick a side, Maiden or Priest. Right. But then I think we talked about it with Jeff as well.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Maybe we did. Yeah. So yeah, as I'm dropping. But see, this is the thing, Darryl, we have all these musicians on and all we talk about is like, show us your toys. We'll bring out like old Evel Knievel figures and we have a really good time doing that because we love to show off what we enjoy. Like from our childhood that kept us going, man. That's like, So
and
we're
Fitz
always
one of the nicest guys you can meet. Man.
Oh, you know Brent? Yeah, Brent's amazing.
I got him on the show tomorrow. He's on my on the Brenton On Tour podcast.
Gerald, he came to my school and performed Good Times, Bad Times with my students at a school show for 50 amazing parents that crammed into this little hall. And I have it on video. It's us playing. Yeah, he's drums. These little kids are jamming with him. We're playing Good Times, Bad Times, Led Zeppelin, man. Great. He's awesome. A great dude. Really nice guy. So another connection we all have, Brent, is the Fitz connection. It always seems that we know somebody who knows
6 degrees of Fitz.
It is, buddy. It is. Yeah.
And the funny thing is that you can have like anything there. Like, so we're talking indie. I love what you're doing. I think it's fantastic for indie bands. I wish it was around in this interaction when we were trying to come through, because it would have been, we were trying to break. It was like, you can't, it was that old kind of like, get them all in.
Yeah.
It was the press kits and it's like, you didn't bring, the manager's not coming. Your publicist Cam was always killer. Cam Carpenter, who set this up, great guy.
Cam's amazing, man.
Gave me $20 for a cab one time, which I think I have to pay him back still. Ken, you're watching. Chris has got my money. So
Cam's got everybody's back, man.
He was amazing, but he was one of those guys that would do it. But I wish you were around in that capacity, at least when we were doing it. And I think it's great that you're around doing this now for everybody, which is awesome. So
thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Being able to come on and talk to everybody. When we had Fitz on, we can talk anything. We're talking coffee tomorrow. We've had him on talking comics. So we want to bring you back to talk indie and all the rest of it, but we want to bring you back to talk movies and comics and all that stuff.
Definitely, buddy. Definitely.
Totally down. And throw in a PlayStation game or two. And
we're in. Okay. I love Dying Light.
You guys just want to host the show together now, because I'm an Xbox
we're gonna
guy,
have to.
so what the fuck?
We're gonna have. Yeah, I know. We keep edging. We got the Marvel. We got the PlayStation. He's over there with the DC and the Xbox. I don't know. We're gonna.
Darryl, do you drink alcohol, Darryl?
Once in a while, but
okay. Well, you're still on his side then.
Yeah, I say he doesn't drink. He drinks coffee. I drink light beer.
Yeah, I kind of gave up a lot of that because I hit it pretty hard in my youth. And
well, then you're gonna get along with all of us then for that, because we did the exact same thing. We're still trying to recover from it, buddy. Darryl, so nice to meet you, buddy. I'm so glad you came on the show and I got a chance to hang out with you, buddy.
Yeah, this was fun, guys. I love this. This is one of my favorite talks because we get to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, and that's the best.
Well, come back anytime, man. Chris will send you the comic book.
I'm going to stay in touch with you, buddy. We'll hit you up on the social media.
Yeah, let's do stuff, man. Let's do stuff.
Yeah, and I'll send you a copy of my new comic that'll be in another month, and all the stuff, man. Yeah.
In the mail.
I might be able to get you a signed copy.
Amazing. Yes. That'd be great.
By me, I'm going to sign it saying, watch DC.
It's like Stan Lee signing a Batman comic, right?
Thanks, Darryl.
Awesome. All right, Darryl. Have a great night, pal.
You too. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Anytime. Come back.
Bye now.
Right on. That's good. Really good. And we stopped
and kept it rolling all night long.
Wow. I thought we kind of want to keep this to around an hour and a half.
This is good. No, I'm just saying this is like, you know what I mean? Like this is the goods you're getting, guys. You're getting the good stuff. Daryl's got a great thing going on with what he's got going on with Indie Week, and loves to tell a tale, and I love it. He's got some stories. I'm sure we could do this once a month with him, just talking all this kind of stuff, and it would be great. I'm a big supporter of what they're doing. And when I had him on my show last time, they sent me like a full pass for the online festival.
Wow.
And kind of like Mark did with us with the Mark did with us with the film festival. So James, you're going to get a pass for the festival for coming on. And,
well, you got a new friend there too, man. That's pretty cool.
So do you.
His music. Oh, I do. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I know I do. Well, he has to see James's music, hear James's music, man. That's pretty cool.
This is great.
That was the thing when I was doing music. That's what you wanted for, was like, talking to somebody like that. And then at the end of the conversation, you're waiting. Yeah, dude. Well, do you have something I can listen to? You're like, oh yeah, right here. You know what I mean? You're just waiting for that because you don't want to be pushy, right? But then when somebody asks, hey man, so send me your music, it's like, oh dude.
And it's funny how it's all working around, because it's because his publicist Cam Carpenter, hi Cam, who set this up, great guy, always a huge supporter of indie stuff. And when Caliber was coming through, was like, who needs to hear this? This guy. And he put Jody Verniho on it with us. And
Jody was amazing, dude.
Yeah, he put it on Jody's radar, and then it ended up with like Ted and Dave Porter over at Universal. Like that, those guys all just really supported it. They're legit dudes that were great. So
we got some of the best shows that I've ever played on, during that time when they were pimping us around. That was fun.
And here we are.
That was fun.
Dude, we're here like what 17 years later, 18 years later from that time, and we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
And Cam's still doing it, and he's still connecting all the dots.
Great.
Fitz is still connected by everyone's dots, and here we are. So
we're surrounded by
why don't you reconnect the dot on Skeletron, because we'll do a major.
So we've got our Patreon funding to produce our first comic book. Thank you to the people who helped us out. You know who you are. Brent's one of them. And there's some other folks out there that put the cap on it there, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Again, signed copies all there. So so we are going to have the totally pressed out as the stores they're going to be in, but so I'll do a real definite announcement of where you can buy it next week. But it will be in locals. I'm thinking like Oshawa, definitely Kingston. And then
I'll get it out here for sure. We're going to do some Vancouver.
So what's your area though? What area is that?
Well, we're going to do Vancouver. I'm going to take it to Golden Age because those guys are big supporters of indies, and I still have this. I'm going to take it to Golden Age. I'm also going to take it down to Toy Traders, which is Kevin Smith's one of Kevin Smith's favorite shops in Langley, which you've been to. That's got the whole thing. So I'm going to take it to there. They got a whole indie section. So it'll be. So
there'll be 100 copies printed. We're going to get 100 copies. So that means when this does hit. That comic's going to be worth a lot of money. It's going to be like having the first Walking Dead if and when this story goes to something bigger than what I'm doing. And I'm going to keep people in on my my journey, which I have, as Darryl was mentioning. We'll start early. Man, I started so early, I got video of me online designing some pages that were like from the very first issue, just designing characters. So people have been with me watching from the beginning, and this is going to be a great journey. So not only did I successfully get the digital copy done and get it online, I got 2 digital copies online, and now we have successfully got the funding for issue number 1. So it is happening. I am doing it, and pat myself on the back for a minute there, man. Yeah. A lot of hard work.
Harkening back to Mike, our co-host at the beginning, Barry Horowitz. Buddy.
Yep, the Barry Horowitz, Mike. There we go, buddy. I think I deserve that, so I did it. Yeah. So anyway, and my wife was a huge, I couldn't have done it without my wife, obviously.
Yep, so. Absolutely. Lonnie Machete in the house.
Way to go, Lonnie Machete.
Rocking.
Good job. So that was a great episode. And I even headed usually I'm the one that keeps talking like I am now, but I headed the wind up on that. Did you catch that?
Very nicely done.
I'm learning, Brent. I'm learning.
Very nicely done. All right. We got to thank some people. Time to thank some people.
Our microphones, of course, right?
Lonnie's got the new promo.
Oh, do we have more promo? Oh, okay. Here it is right now then. Yeti microphones.
Yes, Blue Yeti. The Blue Yeti. Lonnie, we got the Blue Yeti X, and we've got the Mix-Fi headphones. You know, Chris, a little story about the the Mix-Fi headphones. Did you know that they're Grammy Award-winning headphones?
No, I did not know they were that pretty stylish.
Well, they are Grammy Award-winning headphones, and the Blue Yeti X powers the Kids on the Escalator podcast. It powers the Kids on the Escalator Twitch and all the things we're doing over there. It powers the Brenton On Tour podcast and powers the Dean Blundell network. So
I just need a walkthrough on how to put this on my head correctly, because I cannot.
Well, you got it. You got to go and I don't know what's going on now.
It's got to. I think it's my head, not the headphones. But I've had my wife try and adjust it, and it just.
You can design the shit out of a comic, people, but trying to get headphones on them is a thing.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's my haircut.
Thanks to our friends at DeanBlundell.com for having us over there. They had an incredible podcast today that you have to go check out. Listen, without getting into it, but just getting into it a little bit. They had a hardcore righty on.
A hardcore what? Pardon?
Righty. You know, right, left, right, left.
Hardcore righty. Oh, political,
like going into the thing, anti-masker, anti-vax-ish kind of attitude.
Canadian or American?
Kind of parting this thing. And Dean brought him on today. He's the only. They got to give Randy. It's Randy Hillier is his name. They had to give him credit for actually stepping up to the plate, because they came at him with this is a religious thing. This is this is that, and he answered every single question. Whether people want to hear it or not, you fucking have to listen to it. It's the first person I've heard from that side actually be willing to sit down and listen to 5 people. Him, Lachlan, they all came at him, and he took it. He took it.
Is he American or Canadian?
No, he's Canadian.
He's Canadian. Okay, well, good for him.
He used to be in a party, and then now he's kind of an independent. But anyways, I want to shout out to them. How about, I just couldn't believe that they were able to pull that off and get him on that show. And that's just, do yourself a favor, friends, go listen to it. It's like 2.5 hours. That's a drive, but you got to listen to it. It's a must listen. It's one of the first must listens where I think everyone needs to pay attention to it, because it was a really great conversation. So thanks to them and the network and everybody for having us on there on a constant basis, consistently promoting our shit and helping us out and helping to build this thing. So kudos to that.
There we go.
That is the Kids on the Escalator podcast for another Tuesday. We got a WrestleMania preview next week. It is the 25th anniversary of Chris and I's record coming up that we got to get to. Man, there's so many things. There's so many things. The
I haven't even had dinner yet.
And Winter Soldier shit to cover.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff to cover. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Tune in next week. Please join us. I think it's episode number 25 next week.
Could be.
Good times.
Rad dudes. Yeah. Peace. See ya.